doesn't come, we don't have a quorum. Because Wes, Michael, and Laura are all not coming. And I was like, damn it, I wish I knew the answer to this before I left my house. And actually, normally Earl's already here. So, just the two
Oh,
of
no,
us.
Brendan and Earl are signing on, hey, they're at West Haven. Brendan
Oh,
will
well,
be
but then
doing
we
his
still won't have an
presentation.
in-person forum. So, I mean, I guess we're not voting on anything. So I guess it's fine. It's just us.
Just us?
Yeah.
Just us chickens?
You've got a whole lot of paper out here for.
I know.
I texted Wes today because I was looking on his socials and I'm like, where is
Are you in the
this?
state?
Where is he? Well, yeah, I was like, are you in town? He's like, no, I'm in Norfolk.
Vice chair.
He's like, I'll be back in the next 2 weeks. Like, okay, well, good. Nothing's happening that week, and I won't be here, so. It is spring break, and we are out of here. I thought we were gonna do the SOPs tonight.
No, I think he's gonna present them at the board meeting.
At the actual, okay.
Yes, at the
That's
actual
fine.
board meeting.
You guys are both probably like way too young for this to mean anything to you, but I find it thoroughly amusing as a child of the 90s who loves all different music, 80s and 90s. So I get alerts from like Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and both Pantera and Cyndi Lauper are on tour this summer. Like, what? What is this?
I think my clerk's taking time off to see Pantera.
I
Just the
mean,
one where we were like, I need to take vacation time. I'm like, okay.
I'm kind of surprised they're still alive. I also heard Metallica's on tour. I don't know that I can do a Pantera show at this life stage. My brother and sister are much more metalheads than me, and my brother actually is still technically in a melodic death metal band, and like they were like, he did a collaboration during the pandemic. I don't know exactly, like they all recorded from their respective homes, and
And
then
then like slammed it together over the
he
internet.
mixed it, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But sometimes my sister puts things on in the car that I'm just not prepared for because I'm old. Oh man, who's gonna present this? You?
Brandon,
Oh,
there he is. Hey, Brandon.
I like how he's got Commissioner Hicks as like his buddy in the back. Also, it looked like you made a delicious dinner the other day, Mr. Collins.
Oh yeah, I was bumping. John's around too. I think he's gonna come in and sit with us here shortly.
Okay, from a commissioner perspective, Michael has a budget meeting for city council. Laura's out of the country and Wes is out of town. And so I think that you've got who you're getting. And there's
Okay.
nobody in here but my pal Maria. You know, you should sit a little farther from us. I think that would be ideal. There's a lot of reserved seating in here, but no people. So I guess I will I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Can we get a roll call there, Miss Carey?
Commissioner Renales,
Here.
Commissioner Hicks,
Yeah.
Commissioner Wicks,
Here.
Commissioner Goldblatt, Commissioner Payne, Commissioner Bellamy.
All right. I will now do a moment of silence. Okie dokie. So I will now turn it over to Brandon Collins. We have one item on the agenda, and that is the presentation of the 5-year plan and annual plan. So Brandon, the floor is yours.
Awesome, and we'll try to be brief. Hopefully, I think everybody who's on the board now was on the board last year, and kind of has a general idea of what the capital plan's all about. I'm trying to share my screen, but it says I cannot do so. So that's fine.
Do you know anything about that, Maria? Or
Brenda, are you logged in from the ones I sent you earlier? Or did you get another link?
I got a reminder from Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing.
You should be able to share your screen.
Well, can't seem to do it, so let me try one more time. I don't know who's the host. Whoever the host is would
are you
maybe
the host, Maria?
allow it.
Well, we have it in front of us, I guess.
Yeah, if you have it in front of you, I'm just going off the same thing.
Okay.
I'll try to be mindful of what slide and all we're on.
Okay.
So, I'm Brandon Collins. I'm the redevelopment coordinator for CRHA. Hanging out with me today is Mr. Earl Hicks. We're hot off the heels of consensus on a master plan for West Haven, which is a topic for another day. Today we're going to talk about the 5-year capital fund action plan for 2025 to 2029. And we'll be briefly going over the timeline, brief description of what the capital fund plan is, brief description of what we're currently working on with capital funds, some things we had to consider building the plan, and then we'll look directly at the plan. And I think we can move through this pretty quick. So, timeline-wise, we actually started work on the capital plan before publishing the draft, which included polling residents primarily at the parallel track sites. We published the draft on February 3. In that time, we've done more polling and door knocking. Met with the RAB, which is far. We've actually met with them twice. We had time set aside at the planners meeting in February at South First Street. February 13th, we had a little plan set aside for that. Just yesterday, we talked briefly about the capital plan with 6th Street residents. And we are today having the Board of Commissioners work session. Next week, we resume our parallel track meetings because the weather's good and we're really excited about that. And that'll be their official CFP meetings. So we'll talk about why the work we do all through the year really informs the plan. We hope to have written comments from FAR by March 20, allowing us to respond in time for the public hearing at your next Board of Commissioners meeting on March 24th, hopefully followed by your approval on March 24th. All right, so what is the fund? The easiest way for me to describe this is in public housing, and this is just the public housing program. There's basically two funds. One is your operating fund, and the other is your capital fund. So operations covers your day-to-day salaries, all that stuff, day-to-day maintenance, just the general operation, and that comes in the form of a subsidy. The capital fund actually comes as a grant from HUD that you have to be eligible for, but we pretty much rely on it. And every year there's going to be a thing on the news, and people will call you and be like, "Man, I heard the senators got us another $1 million for public housing." We rely on that money, and what they're talking about is the capital fund plan. So we're eligible. There's things we have to do to get it. One is you have to have a plan. You have to have a 5-year plan. You have to have a 4 to 5 day comment period, which we're in. You have to consult with the resident advisory board, which is FAR. You have to provide written response in the submission to HUD to the RAB comments. You have to have a public hearing, and you have to have Board of Commissioners approval for your plan. Cool law that 24 CFR Part 903 pertains to FAR, that they are the Resident Advisory Board, and that's where those rules. It's very similar to annual plan rules, and it's the same laws that govern that piece. So we, I think last year we got 1.27 million, so that's what our anticipated amount is. That is how we built our budget. Over 5 years, that's 6.36 million. However, even though we budget that way, we do anticipate, because of our redevelopment efforts, because the amount awarded is based on your public housing units in service, we will over time see a decrease in our capital funds, which is why we want to maximize the amount of work we can do sooner than later. If you all can move to a high performer status, the way Mr. Sales is feeling confident that we're headed that direction, that means we get 15% more capital funds, which would be huge. We could do a lot with that extra 15%. And then each year of funding through the capital fund, you have 2 years to obligate it, and then 4 years to actually spend it all down. Otherwise, you can't draw down the money. Our goal is to obligate and spend as fast as we can in the current era.
Can I ask a question real quick, Brandon?
Yeah.
How do we get to high performer status? Like, what does that mean? I
Ooh,
probably
that's
should know
a
that.
detail.
So the high performer status looks at your it looks at your overall grading, your score. So it's looking at your physical conditions, it's looking at your operations when it comes to lease up, and it comes to rent collection, and it's also looking at your financials. So whether you have 2 months worth of operating reserve, so it's looking at all those factors.
Gotcha.
And the only item that we had, we had 2 hang-ups. We had the physical and we had the tenant accounts receivables.
Got it.
And so physical, we've taken care of that with 90 at West Haven, 90 something at Crescent Halls, 80 something at South First Street, and then we got a 40 at AMP 4, but it weighs out based upon like average scoring, so it's going to weigh them out, and we'll have a passing score for physical. The financial will have a passing score on that. The tenant accounts receivable, we will not do so well with that, but the months of operating reserve will pass that. So the only factor I think we will have an issue with this year will be the tenant accounts receivable, and that's the rent that's owed by residents to CRHN.
Yep, okay. Still, we were like terrible performer status not so long ago, so.
Yeah, we were in receivership or close to receivership 4 years ago.
Thank you. I should have known what that was. Once you started talking, I was like, oh yeah, sorry.
All right, so super fast, what are we currently doing? The current plan, the strategy was really kind of formulated in 2022 when we made a 5-year plan, that we really worked with residents with a real strategy. In the past, CRHA had really kind of winged it, and there was a lot of just, everything was falling apart, so money was going everywhere. John really, got everybody focused around a plan, even though we had multiple funding and projects from different years. We set a strategy in 2022, and we've basically been tweaking out that strategy since then. And it's mainly focused on the parallel track, which is our scattered sites, AMP4, and on other sites have moved, you're allowed to move some for operating expense for some of the other AMPs that are undergoing redevelopment. So long story short, because these bigger sites are going to be seeing redevelopment, we don't need to put a lot of capital dollars into them, and we can focus more of our capital money on the scattered sites that won't be undergoing redevelopment and do really big, life-changing projects for those residents. Let's see, I mentioned the part about the past, there being different years of funding that we've finally kind of caught up on the projects and the dollar amounts that were lingering. So we're really looking at 2024 onward in terms of our capital plan and being caught up with spending and projects. In 2023, we spent over $2 million on exterior work for the parallel track, roof, siding, windows. We now have doors. We did playground improvements, and that was funded almost entirely by AHG. So those were, playgrounds and other outdoor amenities. And that's a really good example of like when we can get other funds to supplement the capital fund, we can do things faster and we can do bigger and better projects. Last year, you may recall this picture. I know y'all can't see the screen, but the HVAC basket with the eggs in it. We built the plan last year to maximize the amount of money we could put into making the HVAC project a reality, and it is indeed a reality. And we'll get into the specifics of that shortly. So in your packet, you're going to see some cool pictures. So we're currently doing right now, we are, the HVAC project at Riverside is complete. There's some sort of wrap-up work that needs to happen there, but it's pretty much done, and those folks have central air conditioning. It's a truly historical thing for the city of Charlottesville public housing to have that, and we are moving through getting the electric supporting work for that at Mickey Drive. You may recall that the funding for these projects is coming from different years, so we didn't sign a contract for Madison from 2023 and instead have 2024 money going towards that. I think I got that right. So we are lining up, we're like moments away from signing a contract for the electric work that supports the HVAC for Madison Avenue. That'll be happening super soon, and John will be coming to you, I think. Oh, John won't be coming to you with under 100,000. There you go. And then the actual HVAC piece and the switch over to the HVAC is going to be done by our crew. We have some really skilled plumbers and other folks who are able to complete that work, which helps us realize some savings, and we think that we can get it done, probably done at the same time as Mickey Drive, maybe sooner. Along with that, we're finishing up some work on the entry doors and storm door or security doors, putting the door sweeps on, and at the same time getting porch lights up at the parallel track sites. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we'll be starting up our resident meetings next week and continuing polling for parallel track and interior renovations, which is the coolest thing, and John's already told you about this, but after many tries, we received extra funds from HUD through the capital fund, an additional $1.5 million to 2024's allocation. So that's money that's there available to us right now, and it's for specific projects. And what it does, it puts us back on track for our original plan, which was to at some point relocate families, get inside their apartment, and renovate the bathrooms, the kitchens, and everything else in the apartment, new floors, new paint, new interior doors. So that's super excited. We had been planning with residents for bathroom renovations, and then we got this money, and residents are super excited to know that we're actually going to do the full apartment with this additional money. We want to spend this money as fast as possible, so we're going to be working double time with residents on those sites to identify materials and colors and all that stuff. And we think we can do that quick. And then a lot of that work will be done by our CRHA crew, with some of it contracted out. So we're super excited. So even though today we're looking at 2025 to 2029, we're keeping 2024 on the charts because it is a big piece of the actual plan, and we just want everybody to be aware of it. So other things to consider when we're putting it together, the kitchen renovation, we've already done the appliances. We've already started planning on the bathroom work, so that's exciting. We do still have money in 2024, not just for the new money from HUD, but to get Madison HVAC all done. You will see later on down the road in the plan the ideas of downstairs half baths. It's going to be a major expense, but what we determined was it won't require an actual redesign of the architecture of the kitchens, which will allow us to plan and renovate those kitchens faster and with less expense. Previously, residents had swapping the old plan 2028 with 2027 because priorities were a little higher on walls and floors, and now you'll see that's actually moved forward as part of the interior renovation. We are very aware that there's uncertainty with the federal government. Mr. Sales is doing a really good job making sure our money is going to remain accessible, but we do want to get this work done. And then, as I mentioned, potential reductions in the CFP a few years down the road as redevelopment proceeds. All right, enough of that. Here's a summary for 2025 to 2029 over the 5 years. So we're setting aside almost $900,000 for authority-wide. So those are things that benefit the entire housing authority, not just the specific AMPs. And generally that's not like true capital projects, and HUD allows you to use certain amounts for certain things, and we'll take a look at that. AMP 1 is West Haven, over 5 years, 1.2 million. We think this will get us to the point of beginning the breaking ground on at least the first phase of West Haven. But this will take care of needs while we get to that part. Crescent Halls, we're not putting any money into it. Newly renovated, has its own funding streams, won't need capital funds for a long time. And basically the same thing for 6th Street and South 1st Street. 6th Street, the 19 remaining units will be undergoing a redevelopment, but the needs of that site are needs that can be met through operations. And then 4.2 million for scattered sites, single family homes, AKA the parallel track. The next page after that's going to be just your totals by year. And let's just go through. So authority-wide, we're allowed to take a management fee of 10%, which we take. And then we've got career training opportunities, and this is for residents. This is going to supplement all of our training programming for residents. It's going to support our Section 3 efforts. It's going to support job readiness. And then staff training, which you're allowed to use capital funds for when it pertains to things that HUD has found a ding on your housing authority. you can use capital funds for training to address those items. AMP1, we are just transferring all the capital funds that we get for AMP1 to operations, and you're allowed to do that, a certain percentage. That allows us some flexibility. We're not going to plan any major projects for the full site because it will be undergoing redevelopment. However, there are capital needs, and some examples of that are concrete repair. Occasionally somebody might need a roof, street lighting, things like that. Mentioned Crescent Halls and South First Street and 6th Street will not be putting any capital funds towards those amps. All right, there's the old plan. You can look at if you want. And then my favorite slide of all time, this should be in your packet, page 23. General picture of parallel track, but this includes 2024 and it spreads out to 2029. And what you can see, so we got the additional money from HUD for 2024. Some of that was entry doors and storm doors, and that work is underway. And then the HVAC, which is the money for Madison, basically, and we'll probably realize some savings there. And then the rest is to begin pooling for bathroom modernization and kitchen modernization, and that combines with the relocation that will be required, more money for kitchens, money for interior painting. And then you can see also moving that forward, it's 2026, a little over $500,000 for flooring replacement and replacing the interior doors. Now this effort, we're going to be moving families out probably for about a week into a hotel, and then we come in and get all the work done while they're at. So that's why we need relocation dollars in there. HUD allows you to do that. The other thing to keep in mind is we don't have to wait until 2026 to start this work. As long as things are categorized and the money is updated, we'll be able to begin these projects sooner than 2026, and we will hopefully wrap up sometime in 2026. So we're talking about a good chunk of work. So then the next thing would be, okay, what's the next big project once we're done with the interior renovation? And we're looking at it, this seems to meet resident priorities through polling, awnings and canopies and background fences being high priorities for residents. So we're going to look at it as sort of a return to some of the exterior improvements, which is providing awnings and canopies on porches, maybe upgrading the porches a little bit, and then replacing backdoor fences and playground fences. And that'll be an expense, and that's the awnings are spread out over a couple years. And then we'll start pulling money together for the half bath project. Now it's a big project with a lot of complications. It's going to cost a lot of money, and we're not sure that we're actually ready to put that closer in than 4 or 5 years out. So this gives us time to plan and really understand what we're doing, and we're going to need a lot of money and probably some additional funding to make that happen. But so you're basically looking at right now, let's get planned out for interior renovations, then we're going to go back to the exterior, and then we're going to get into the half bath. And again, anytime we can get extra money for these projects, we can do them sooner and faster. And then you have a slide of just 2025 to 2029, which is really what you're supposed to be approving. And that is really all I got for you all. If you got questions for me and John, we're happy to answer them.
I think you said it, but where do the half baths go? Which?
Well,
Or is it
You know,
everywhere?
there's a lot of desire for it. They would be downstairs, so we have a
Which-
lot.
which neighborhood, though?
Oh, parallel track.
Okay.
We Mickey, Madison, and Riverside.
Oh, okay, I got it, sorry.
And then we're also looking at Elsom, Hinton, Ridge, and Monticello, but they don't have the same needs, and so they will get addressed, but it won't be the same fixtures as what we do at Mickey, Madison, and Riverside.
Got it.
All right.
Questions?
No, no.
This
Yeah.
is great, Brandon, thank you very much.
Super cool. And then, yeah, just next steps, your next your actual board meeting. We'll be having a public hearing and hopefully followed by your approval of the incredibly smart and so glad we're caught up on past years with extra HUD funding as well, capital fund.
It was a lot.
That's the official title of it.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you all. We're gonna go back to celebrating at West Haven.
Thank you.
Okay, well, y'all go ahead. I think, well, that's everything, so, I don't have enough to get a motion to adjourn. Do you,
We still have a body, but I'll motion to adjourn.
okay, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All opposed?
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
All right.
Office colored paper. We're already killing trees in color? Oh my God. This was so-
Oh, do you want my clip?
No, John said. He said we can always buy more.
We're rolling in the cash now.
No, I say paper clips, so.
Yeah, I think I reuse at home, like this, I've had the same paper clips for a decade.
See?
It's like Staples are getting no more sense out of me.
Yeah. I think they came from, the ones I have came from Target, and now we're boycotting them too, so. There's nowhere left to go. I really did have like a whole, I was like, where am I supposed to go? There's not a local store for me to go to.
Tell me about it.
For these things, where can
Can you
I?
buy online?
Right, I'm not supposed to do that. It's, yeah, it's very stressful, these times that we're in. Thanks for coming down
Thank
to
you.
the meeting with us. My daughter wants ice cream and now there's no wreaths, and I'm like, who has it? Downtown